For those parents who are in attendance right now, it's kind of interesting, the poll results, the live poll results. I feel like this is American Idol here. So the 55% like 6 to 6:30. And it's funny because those of you who are on right now are the ones who like 6 to 6:30. I actually thought this poll was going to go out when you guys registered. So I think we're basically getting a skewed sample here.
Why can't panelists vote? I want to vote. Panelists, should we vote on whether or not we should vote?
Glendon, turn on your camera.
That's weird.
I think I probably had it set to automatically be off.
Yeah. Hello, my people. Thanks, Johnny. Thanks for not waving. Everybody else wave but you, buddy.
Hey, I'm doing work here. I'm prepping for this thing.
Oh, geez. Never mind. I didn't know Odegaard was here.
My bad. Let me just fix that.
Can we see the baby instead?
Exactly.
Yeah. You guys sound like everybody.
Well, welcome to parenthood, buddy. You do know that you realize that you give up your
You'd rather see person than you?
Yeah.
all of you.
There he is.
Much better.
It's too hot to put any clothes on, so he's running around in his diaper.
Is Emily over there by you?
Yep, that's why he's smiling.
Because he keeps looking that way. Hey, how are you?
Yeah.
Good.
No,
Can we do this? Can we have Emily and Carson on there and you just stand in the background and talk?
Right? I think that'd be better for everybody.
yeah.
I mean, I don't think anybody on this panel would.
I'll tell her what to say. I think she heard me talking about the freshman retreat, so I think she's good.
Yeah. And Johnny, can you have Avery and Ruby come
I
on?
think his wife's name is Emily.
Huh? His wife's name is Avery.
Oh, I thought you said Emily.
No, Avery. I'm glad you know all of our staff and their significant others.
Well, I know their names. I know the names because it appears underneath their picture. So.
Okay, but I don't know Sarah's husband's name though.
His name's Evan.
Evan, is he there?
He is over in the corner. Yeah.
Tell him to come
Being
introduce
quiet.
himself.
He's
Come introduce himself.
far away.
Come introduce
Come say
himself.
hi.
This is my team.
Hey team, I'm Evan. Sarah's
Hey,
lovely.
Evan.
Hey, Evan.
I'm MC, even though it says Daryl McClendon.
You get a couple minutes. Most of my attributes are on the shelf behind Sarah. So
Nice.
Showing you off a little bit.
Oh, look at Ruby.
Oh.
Nice.
Oh man.
All right, we should have another poll, which is the cutest baby poll.
Look at that. Hold on. Let me.
It's
How
so
do I
cute.
pin?
I
Hey,
vote
Johnny,
for
you have to
Lennon
talk so
since
you
your
actually-
baby's not born yet.
Oh.
So Lennon, put your baby in the picture.
Here's Ruby. Avery was busy, but here's the baby.
Lennon,
Hi,
I just
everybody.
need you to stand up.
Huh?
That's
Oh,
so
you're not talking.
awkward.
You're talking to Lennon.
It's not awkward. You're among family.
All the students are here too.
Oh, never mind.
I don't want to stand up and show my stomach.
Wait, can
I'll
everybody
do it
see
tomorrow at the staff meeting. I'll do it.
Okay.
Can everybody see and hear us, parents and students?
Oh yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you guys are on.
Oh, all right.
And this is streaming live on YouTube. So
Great.
Get rid of that baby.
Yeah.
all right. Well, we still got one more minute, so we're gonna be on schedule here, parents. If you parents and students, I haven't actually looked to see who's on our attendee list here. All right, we got some students in here. Nice, we got a good mix, new and old. So we have 102 participants now, so that answers our question. So panelists do not count against our 100 count. So if we're ever doing this in the future. So if any of you have friends or loved ones who can't get onto the webinar, I'm talking to the students and the parents right now. It should just prompt. We're almost at the max numbers. We're at 92 attendees right now, so it should just prompt them to jump over to YouTube Live. All right, so 6 o'clock. Should we start this right on time, or should we wait for our last 7 attendees?
I think you should give them a couple minutes.
Okay.
I think you should start on time. I'm going to disagree with MC at everything he says.
You just want to disagree with me. That's all you're trying to do.
So the poll results, and these are also skewed because these poll results there's a lot of students on here, so these students could be actually answering here. So, but so far we have 53% like the 6 to 6:30 hour. Only 16% like the 12 to 12:30, and everything else is right around the 22, 26, 25%. So it looks like this is probably the best time for us to have meetings. Unfortunately, we're never going to make everybody happy. Our board will be happy because this is when we have board meetings at 6 o'clock. So they'll be happy to know that this is the most popular time. But again, like I said before, so if you came on late, this is a skewed poll because only the people who are on at 6 o'clock are the ones voting. And so there's probably people who are working at 6 o'clock who are not here and they can't vote. So not really very scientific. We'll have this be our first exercise in math class on Monday. Okay, so I think we should get started. So first of all, this is orientation for the 2020-2021 set school year. And this is a crazy time for all of us. And I hope everyone that's in our community is healthy and safe. And we hope that we're able to make it through the school year with that being true from here on out. We've got panelists who are our teachers, and I purposely am. Actually, so it's a little bit weird. I don't actually have control over what actually shows up on YouTube, as we discovered during graduation. And so I think the best way to make sure that all of our staff get on is for them to periodically unmute themselves and shuffle around so that you get put onto the screen. And occasionally I'll switch to the gallery view so we can see a whole bunch of them. And hopefully that also works on the YouTube Live channel as well. So I want to introduce one staff member in particular, and that is our new staff member, Ms. Kozik. And I think I said that right. Did I say that right, Ms. Kozik?
Yep, you did.
All right, awesome. So we've been going by first names so far, and we've got to get used to starting to use last names. So Ms. Kozik, we're going to put you on the spot here and have you introduce yourself so that the community knows who you are.
All right. Well, hi, everybody. Good evening. I'm so happy to be here. I can't wait to meet all of you virtually starting next week. So feel free, reach out, say hi, and I look forward to connecting with you.
Great, thank you. So Ms. Kozik is an ed specialist, and so we are super grateful and happy to have her on our team. So the rest of the staff is going to chime in throughout tonight so that I'm not the only one speaking. Our goal is to get most of the critical information finished by 6:30. And then, but we're going to stay on as long as we need to get through and answer your questions. So we got a bunch of pre-questions. So please just kind of hold off. We're not going to be answering chat questions and things until we get through all of the questions that were asked beforehand. My guess is that we'll probably hit most of your questions just as we go through tonight. The main goal, just so you guys kind of know the order of events, the main goal here is for us to first make sure that we're addressing what happens on Monday, because school starts on Monday, on August 24th, not October, August 24th. And so we want to make sure that everybody knows what's actually happening on this first day of school. So we're going to be talking mostly in the early part about virtual set, just so everybody has a good idea of what's going on with that. And then we're going to switch and talk about the hybrid model, because we know that there's going to be lots of questions about that. And then we're going to start getting into kind of particular questions about things like clubs and sports and things like that. We want to make sure that we're hitting all the main things, so that if anyone has to leave, or if they get tired watching the orientation video, if they're watching it, a recording of it, if we lose them early, that at least the important information got addressed. So I'm going to start by answering a question that I think is on everybody's mind right now. And it's not actually a Monday question, but it is a question that is on everybody's mind, and that's what is actually going to happen now that we have that San Diego County is off the watch list. And so this is fantastic news for San Diego County. And so super grateful and glad that San Diego has been doing the right thing, and that we've been managing to lower our case count, so we are off the state watch list. And so those of you who are paying attention to the news know that when we got off the watch list, that started the count 14 days. If we remain off the watch list, then schools are allowed to reopen. And so what does that mean for us? So technically, in theory, we could potentially open on September 1st. And I want to make sure that everybody knows right up front that that is not going to happen. So we are not switching to the hybrid mode on September 1st. So while I'm super thankful that we're off the watch list, this couldn't have happened at a worse time, just in terms of us planning the start of a school year. And so we right now are, it's hard enough to figure out how to open up one school, let alone trying to open up two different versions of that same school. And so we've got a whole bunch of events that are happening in this first week of school. We've got freshman retreat, which is happening next Thursday. And so, us trying to make sure that we're giving the freshmen the best possible freshman retreat, and then also worrying about how we're going to open up school on September 1st. There's just no way that we have the bandwidth to be able to do that. And so what you're going to see happen is that, assuming that everything goes well, and assuming that the case count remains low in San Diego and it is safe for schools to reopen, you're going to see us gradually kind of transition to that hybrid model that we talked about through the month of September. And so kind of, if I were a betting person, I would say that October 1st is probably a good date to kind of keep in the back of your mind as a time when we could potentially, have our hybrid model up and running fully. One of the nice things about being in the off the watch list is that there are certain things like, hey, we could maybe get our freshmen together down at the park, and we could actually use that as an extra activity to help build a camaraderie in that community with our freshmen. And so you'll see little things like that happening, but in terms of us actually switching to the hybrid model, it's going to take us a little bit of time to get there. And so hopefully you guys can be patient with us. We also want to make sure that we're not the trailblazers here. So we don't want to be the ones that are opening and then immediately closing 2 days later, as we've seen happen across the country with so many schools. So we want to make sure that we get this right. We want to make sure that the case count does remain low in San Diego. We're pretty confident with all the things that we have in place. We're pretty confident with our ability to safely educate our students. But there's also, very serious risk here, and we don't want to be the ones who are trailblazing and finding out, on day one that, whoa, this is a really bad idea. We shouldn't have been opening schools. And so, it's kind of works out naturally that we're not quite ready for it anyway, just because in terms of our bandwidth as a staff, we want to make sure that we're doing things really, really well. And we don't want to, do half measures on hybrid and also on the virtual. So hopefully you guys can all bear with us there. One of the questions, a really important question that somebody asked is, are we following the state guidelines, or are we following the guidelines that San Diego Unified, which are a little bit more stringent and recommended by UCSD? So the answer is, we are our own independent entity. And so we are not bound by anything that San Diego Unified does. But that doesn't mean that the recommendations that UCSD came up with are not good. And it doesn't mean that we're not going to be paying attention to those recommendations. But I just want you guys to know that we are not necessarily following those guidelines. And so for those of you who haven't been following the news, really the kind of the main difference there is the state is basing most of their decision making off of this case count. And currently San Diego is less than 100 per 100,000. So that's 1 out of every 1,000 San Diego County residents is testing positive currently. And so that's, you know, the fact that that number is that low is a really good thing. And if it goes above that number, so if it goes up to 120 or something like that, we'd be back on the watch list. What San Diego Unified has done at the recommendation of UCSD is they're also looking at the community outbreak numbers. And so my view on this is that the community outbreak numbers, if they are actually meaningful, are going to mean that the case count increases. And so if the UCSD recommendation was have that community outbreak number be, I think it was like 7, and we're currently at around 20 in San Diego County. And so if that number is meaningful, that means we're not going to stay below the 100 with our case numbers. And so I'm pretty sure I've got a kitten right now who's stealing my pieces of paper. This is great. Maybe I should have a little diversion here. Let's actually have a look at a kitten. Yay! So anyway, there's plenty of other of the UCSD suggestions though that we are going to be following, but just know that we're not going to be specifically basing our reopening off of whether or not those guidelines are established the way they were by UCSD. And the main reason for that, just so you guys know, the state, very smart people, they came up with numbers. Experts are always going to disagree, and so there's no reason for us to be paying any extra attention to UCSD experts when there are state experts that came up with their own metrics. So I think it just confuses things if you start throwing in multiple different metrics. Okay, so hopefully that answers that kind of major question about school reopening. So we're going to dive into now is what virtual set is going to look like, and what these first couple of days of school are going to look like, and what you guys as students are expected to do on day 1. And so I think I'm still up for a little bit, and so I think I'm the one that gets to kind of deliver the hammer here, so that's why I got volunteered for this first statement. We are back to school, guys. So we, you know, in April when there was, you know, a crisis and everyone was wondering what in the world was going on, schools did their best to try to educate students. We think we did a really, really good job educating our students. But there was a lot of things that were going against us in terms of trying to educate our students. One was that there was rumors going around, and this was actually true for most students in the state, grades didn't matter. And so that makes it really, really hard to teach when students think that grades don't matter. We made it clear that grades at our school did matter because we wanted to make sure that if we're taking an algebra class, that the kids actually learn algebra so they could move on to geometry. And so what we did is we understood that there was a lot of anxiety. We understood that some people might actually get sick, or they might be so worried about being sick that they just couldn't focus on school. And so we understood that. And so we made sure that there was no penalty for not doing very much work. So there weren't F grades, but we did offer a no grade, which basically meant, hey, we need to do something in order to actually learn this material because you're not ready to move on to the next course. And so the good news is that we actually had the majority of our students, it was more than 80% of our students actually were successful in completing their courses, and we're super grateful for that and thankful for our teachers. Our teachers did a wonderful job in terms of making sure that school still happened at Stat High. I want the students to know, though, and the parents, that the no grade thing is done. So we are now back to regular school. The mandate from the state is that all schools are teaching. All schools are actually going to be having there's requirements for the number of hours that teachers are actually engaging with students. And so we're now in the, oh shoot, this is this is going to be possibly with us for a while. We can't just keep not educating students. We need to actually really educate them. And so we want to make sure every kid knows that grades count. You could potentially fail classes if you don't do the work, and the expectations that the teachers have for you are going to be the same expectations that we had pre-COVID. Certainly going to be super understanding in the event that you guys have illnesses or anything else like that that happens. We're going to be understanding. That's who we are as a school, so you don't have to worry about that. But grades do count. And school is also 7 hours per day. So we open our doors, virtual doors, right now at 8 o'clock in the morning, and school goes until 3 o'clock. Now, it's very possible that you are going to be working independently during some of that time, but between the hours of 8 and 3, the expectation is that you are working. We've had a lot of discussion as a staff in this last week about whether maybe we should not really, allow kids to have flex time so they could do their work, later at night instead of during the afternoons. But one of the challenges that we see with students, and really all of us, so it's not really fair to pick on students, we need structure. And so we want to make sure that you guys have that structure. And so you're going to see a lot of assignments that are going to be due at 3 o'clock, not at 5 o'clock, not at 7 o'clock, not at 8 o'clock at night. They're going to be due at 3 o'clock to make sure that you're actually being that you're being held accountable for that time that we're giving you during the afternoon to do that independent work. Okay, so one of the questions that we have here is, so actually, you know what would be really helpful, guys, is if sometimes somebody would just kind of pop up and say, hey, McCurdy, this is the next question on the list, because it's kind of hard for me to talk and read at the same time. They'll actually give us an opportunity to hear from some of our staff members. So one of the questions, though, is about what our bell schedule looks like. And it's going to be very, very similar to what we had before. The difference, though, is that we've now had to figure out, we don't want to have the bell schedule switching all the time if we're going back and forth potentially between hybrid and virtual. And so we've added longer passing periods in between the periods in order to be able to accommodate the needs that we have for the students who are on campus when we're in hybrid mode, for them to actually be able to safely transition between classes and to give them breaks outside to actually take off their masks if they're socially distant from other people. And so we wanted to make sure that we gave plenty of opportunity for the students to have that kind of break.
Hey, Dr. McCurdy.
Yeah.
I have a question from a student. He says, if when the hybrid program starts, are we required to go to school a certain amount of days per month / semester, or is it really optional?
So if a student is choosing to be a hybrid student and come to school and not be a full-time virtual student, then you're making a commitment to come twice a week to our school. And so it's not one of those things where, oh, I feel like going to school today, so I'm going to show up. Because basically anyone who is taking a spot at the hybrid model, so the reason we're in hybrid is because we can't have very many students on campus. And so if you are taking a spot, then it is not fair for us to suddenly, instead of having, we can handle 100 kids on campus. If we now have 60 kids because 40 kids decided they didn't want to show up on any given day, that's basically not fair for all the kids who wanted to be at school and wanted to be at school potentially more than the 2 days per week. And so when a student chooses to be hybrid, they are committing to being on campus twice a week. Now, if you decide that you don't like hybrid and you're like, no, I just want to be virtual, that's totally fine, as long as you communicate to us and you're not next week saying, oh, I want to be hybrid again, right? So we can't go back and forth between them. We'll allow a little bit of shifting as maybe you like realize what works for you better. But for the most part, once you make a decision, you're making that decision.
Hey,
So
Dr. McCurdy,
yeah, so I was gonna, go ahead.
just know that that's basically the last question that's on your sheet. The
Okay.
question you just answered.
Okay, good. So I think Ms. Lennon, I'm going to have you jump in just so I can take a break here and make sure I'm answering these questions properly. So Ms. Lennon, you've got one of your questions.
Yeah, so hi everyone. One of the questions that was asked was during virtual set, will teachers be teaching from their classrooms? So the easy answer to that is it just depends on the teacher. We're not necessarily being, as a staff, we're not being required to come in and teach from our classrooms. We can teach from home. But again, that is just the answer for what we're doing during virtual set. And just know that when we come in, if there are teachers who are choosing to teach from their classrooms, they will be having to take temperature checks. They will be wearing masks and such if they are in a room with another staff member or anything. So there we go. I think that the next person up is technically Mr. MC, but I don't know, Dr. McCurdy, if you have anything else you need to answer before that.
No,
No.
so MC, why don't you take it away?
Yeah. Okay, so the next question was asked, it was pertaining to cameras on your laptops or your Chromebooks. And this is a change, but it's a school-wide change. All kids are going to be required, all students are going to be required to have their cameras on at all times that they're in class. What they can do, if needed, is you can use double-sided tape and put your fingerprint on it to kind of blur the image a little bit, but it is a requirement that the cameras are on, as opposed to static images that's been on there in the past.
So let me add on to that I'm pretty sure that there's going to be like a whole bunch of questions that happen right now where people are like, hey, but I don't have a camera on my computer, or my camera doesn't work. So we will eventually get that rectified. If you happen to have a computer that doesn't have a camera on it, let's wait until we get all of the new students issued computers first, so that we can make sure that everybody has a device first, and then we'll make sure that we get that rectified. In the meantime, if you don't mind, and it should be pretty easy, especially for those of you who have phones, and we know that lots of you guys have phones because we see them out all the time at school. It's easy to just turn on the Google Meet app on your phone, and then we can see the video image that way. So you can still be working on the computer, but just have the phone propped up somewhere so we can actually see you as well. And the main thing that we want, the reason we're doing this is because we want there to be engagement. It's really, really hard to be a community if we can't see each other. And so we understand that some people don't necessarily want to be seen in full high-res detail, and maybe they didn't put on their makeup, maybe their hair is messed up, but we want to at least be able to see a blurry image of you, so that we know that you're there and we feel like we're actually teaching to somebody, and you as students feel like you actually have other people that are in the same boat with you, and you feel like you're a community. So super, super important. And it's not going to be an issue as long as everybody does it. It became an issue when there's only a few people doing it, and then we gradually started getting fewer and fewer and fewer people doing it. Okay. Does anyone want to jump in? So let's talk about Google Chat. So one thing, and I want to make sure that this is really, really, really clear for those of you who are returning students. Google Hangouts, basically, I'm trying to use non-COVID scary words. I don't know how to say it. It no longer exists. I'm trying not to use the word died. Google Hangouts is no longer is being supported by Google, and they switched midway through our spring semester. They switched to Google Chat, and it was really, really frustrating for us as teachers when some students were still using Google Hangouts and some were using Google Chat. And so I have the ability to block Google Hangouts, and we will do so after the first week of school. So make sure you uninstall your Google Hangouts app install Google Chat. It almost is exactly the same, but it's got some features that are much, much better. And so that's why they decided to get rid of Google Hangouts. So please, for your returning student, if you're a new student, pretend like I didn't even say anything, because I don't want you to know that Google Hangouts exists. The other big change, totally contrary to what it seems, because here we are on a Zoom call right now. We are not using Zoom during school with our students. And the main reason for that is because we want to make sure that we don't have to deal with any of the Zoom bombing nonsense that we had to deal with last year. And so Google Meet serves all the needs that we have as educators. And it also is a closed community, so we can make sure that it's only our students who are connecting to our sessions, and we don't have random people from all over the country trying to bomb our classes. And so Google Meet is what we're going to be using from here on out, except for when I have one of these big sessions with teachers, or sorry, with parents, because Zoom still has this really nice webinar feature that allows us to stream to YouTube. And so we'll continue to use it for these kinds of events, but from here on out, Google Meet. McClendon, you're up with core competency.
All righty. I was multitasking here, even though that's not possible by humans. But anyway, so core competency, that's kind of near and dear to my heart, because as assistant principal of the school, I get a lot of questions about how your students doing and what's going on and their grades and what's happening in school. Core competency is basically your lifeline, parents. You can get a view of what your child is doing, if they're missing assignments, if they're late on assignments, other things that are going on at school, different tests that we have at school that's out there. It's also a way that we communicate with the parents. So please, did I say please? Let me say that again. Please make sure that you're on core competency. So when your child goes in and tells you, and that this is for all you kids that are out there, oh, we didn't have any work to do, and you log on the core competency and you see that they're behind in some of their work, that kind of sucks for them, but that's okay. Please do it, because towards the end of the year, end of the semester, I always get a lot of questions about, well, I didn't know what was going on, and it's there and it's updated really regularly and frequently. I'm going to, I don't see where he is now, I see him. I'm going to draw quick attention. This has nothing whatsoever to do with this question. Wave a little bit. You see Mr. Pataro over there? He actually put a piece of tape over his camera. So you can see him, but he's blurred.
So we can't, so Mr.
Can you see
P.
me now if I talk? Can you see me? Is that
Yeah,
better?
now we can. There we go.
I can see him, but so anyway, it works pretty well. And he actually didn't do the double-sided one. He did single tape and put it on there, and it blurs him enough that we know he's there. We know he's working, or he's pretending to work anyway. So anyway, that's all I have to say about core competency, except for just one more time, please make sure that you're on it, parents.
And let me add one more thing. So really helpful if you also register, so you're going to get harassed until you do it on core competency. You get asked to enter in your cell phone number so that you can register for SMS messages. We try really hard not to bombard you with too much information, and so you have the ability to be able to decide how much you want to get bothered with the SMS notifications, and that'll improve as we move through the school year. One final comment on the sticky tape. So please try it before the first day of school, because there's some of the single-sided tape is too opaque, and so you can't see anything. So we need to be able to recognize you as a student and not just see a big blob.
Yeah. So I'm gonna turn it over to Mrs. G. Etiquette.
Good evening, everybody. It's so amazing to be back with everybody, and we're excited to get started. So in terms of etiquette, while we're in this virtual setting, think about it like this. If you would get trouble for it if you were attending school, going there in person, you can get in trouble for it if you're online. Okay, so we expect you to be the amazing humans that you are, right? Show up early, participate, dress appropriately, be ready for your academic excellence. Okay, so if there's any questions on what those things are in terms of like what you're allowed to say and not to say, what you're allowed to wear and not to wear. All of that information, all the details will be in the handbook. So you can definitely refer to that. But just to make it simple, just think about it as, if I want to be taken seriously and if I want to be successful, then I need to act, dress, and be successful. Okay. So if you can get in trouble for it at school, you're going to get in trouble for it online. So be awesome, and that won't be an issue. I think that's it. Back to you.
Thank you, Ms. G. So I already answered the next question about the bell schedule. So next question is about help desk. And so the bell schedule did change a little bit in the sense that we wanted to make sure that there was contact happening between a teacher and a student during the flex time in the afternoon. So for new students, so maybe this wasn't clear. Maybe I didn't make myself clear here. So basically it's first through fifth period, starting at 8 o'clock and ending around noonish. After lunch, we have flex time. And there's now going to be a requirement that there's on Monday, Tuesday, on each day of the week. Mondays, you're going to go and check in with your first period teacher. Tuesdays, you're going to check in with your second period teacher, etc. And the teachers will actually schedule appointments with you so that we can have a legitimate check-in to make sure that something is happening during that flex time. And like I said before, you're probably going to have some assignments that are due at 3 o'clock as well. So, so that flex time is your time to get support. Worked really, really well last year. And so we're excited to be able to continue that. Even when we are in the hybrid model, we're still going to have that same schedule where we have the flex time. So I think that's one of the cool things that kind of emerged from us experimenting with virtual set. Miss Heath, I don't know if you knew that you were answering questions. Did you happen to look at this doc?
She does.
Okay, good. Miss Heath, you're up.
Actually, while she's doing that, I'm actually up.
Sorry, I can go. It just was not a good idea to put me on because I'm answering the chat and Q&A.
Okay.
Which I told Mr. McClendon. First of all, Phil Calandra says to Dr. McCurdy, are you ready to lose at table tennis?
Ooh.
Yeah. Challenge accepted. Okay, hold on. Let me pull up what I'm supposed to be answering.
Where do you find orientation documents?
You know what? I'll do it. You just go ahead and stay on there.
Thank you.
I'll be Ms. Heath. Where do I find the orientation documents? Actually, in the email that Dr. McCurdy sent out, there's a link that points to where all of the orientation documents are, and they're also on our website, and it details in there exactly where you go to see those. So when is it due? There is the free and reduced lunch benefits, which are far and beyond just free and reduced lunch. You can actually get free SATs, free ACTs. There's a bunch of different things that you can get. So it's imperative that we all fill that out, even if you don't think you qualified for it. We're trying to get those in by September 1st. So that's our deadline there. But please, like I said, go back and take a look at this email that you received because it points you in the right direction.
And Mr. McClendon, can I add one thing to that?
Yes, ma'am.
If you have not gotten me a birth certificate, proof of residency, and immunization record, please do so as soon as possible. We do need those for your student's file. Thanks.
Yeah. So I'm going to go on and
wait before you move on. So one of the things that's really important in that email is we also need signatures, and because of COVID times, it's really hard for us to collect signatures from you guys. These are not the kinds of signatures that require a DocuSign, and so we just sent out a Google form. So basically, you're just acknowledging receipt of each of the orientation docs, making sure that you've actually spoken with your child about the school rules, about harassment, and that kind of stuff. And also confirming that you've actually watched this orientation video as well. That's one of the things. And so that's due before Monday. So please make sure that you guys spend the next 4 days reviewing those docs and filling out that Google form.
Hey, Dr. McCurdy.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, just to be clear, for the documents I was just asking for, it really is only for new students. So if your student is returning, don't panic. I have your documents from last year. You're fine.
Okay, thank you for clarifying that. Okay, I don't think we missed anything from the virtual set, and so we are
The
ready.
increased enrollment.
Oh, yeah, do you want to answer that?
Either or, you can go ahead.
Go ahead, that's your question.
Okay, so with increased enrollment, how many students will be in each class? We are still trying to go with 25 students maximum. The vast majority of the classes have not reached that limit. And then as you go along, you can have some classes with 10 kids, 15 kids in there. I do believe off the top of my head, there's one class that has 26 in it. I think that's one of Mr. Hyde's classes, and it may be a drawing class. Shake your head or don't shake your head, Mr. Hyde. He's saying something, but he's muted.
Let me check right now on core competency and see if that's the case, because it was changing. Let me see.
Okay, but there's no
I'll
plan
figure it
to
out.
go above
It'll be fine.
Yeah.
So actually, that's a good segue into the hybrid model, because in the hybrid model, our plan is to have half the number of students on campus at any time. And so we have set up our classes to have 13 chairs, and 13 chairs allows us to have the 6-foot social distancing and make sure that our students and staff are safe. And so Mr. Hyde can have 26 students, but he can't have 27. But basically our cap is still 25 is what we're planning. And that question came up because one of the parents heard that we have an increased enrollment, and which is a great thing, because that means that we're actually doing great things at our school and people want to join our school. And but we are still staffed. Our staffing level is fine to be able to accommodate the increased enrollment that we have. All right, so we are now moving on to hybrid. And so, you know what? I realized that I skipped over the really kind of the most important question, which is, what does that first day of school look like? So the expectation now, so all of our new students should have received a laptop. If you're a new student and you did not receive a laptop and you're expecting to get a laptop sometime, so there must have missed an email, because laptops were distributed yesterday and today. But make sure you let Miss Heath know if you're like, oh shoot, I really did need one of those and I missed an email. Because on Monday, we are expecting that at 8 a.m., all of our students are connecting via Google Meet with their advisory. And you will receive an email, it probably hasn't gone out yet, but you'll receive an email before Monday inviting you to connect to the Google Classroom on Monday at 8 o'clock. And you'll probably get emails from all of the rest of your teachers as well. But our most important goal is to make sure that students can connect with a staff member on campus so that we can actually start school on Monday. And so you can imagine what kind of a challenge this is when we've got new students who need emails, they need to figure out how to actually connect to school. So this is when I was saying it's hard enough for us to like figure out how to start one school versus, let alone trying to start 2 different versions of the same school. We've got this extra challenge. In the old days, student came to school, all right, we got you, we'll figure it out, we'll walk you to your next class, right? This time, if the kid's home and they can't even connect with us, then we can't educate them at all, and we don't even know what we don't know. And so our goal is tomorrow, any of the new students should receive some kind of communication from your advisor to make sure that you're able to connect to our systems, that you're able to log into your email, that you're able to actually engage in a Google Meet session so that you know what you're going to be doing at 8 o'clock on Monday morning. If for some reason you're not able to connect, please don't panic. It's not the end of the world. We'll get you connected eventually. But the goal is that we can have 100% of our student population actually connecting properly at 8 o'clock and connecting with their advisor. Okay, so that's virtual set. So now let's talk a little bit about what the hybrid model is going to look like. So very similar to what we've been talking about before, where we've got our school split up into two. One of the big questions that keeps coming up is, do I have to be in the hybrid model? And the answer is no. So if you want to be full-time virtual, that is totally fine. But you will have the option to be in the hybrid model, and we will have as many students as we can safely fit into our school. So you heard the rules, like 13 students per classroom is what we can safely accommodate in our school. And so we've done a lot of work trying to figure out how to actually make sure that the students and our staff are safe on campus during the hybrid model. And so you heard me speak earlier about how we've got this 15-minute break that's going to happen in between classes. And so the reason we have that is because we actually want, at the end of each period, we want all of our students to exit the building, have an opportunity to take off their face coverings, and finally get a chance to breathe some fresh, clean air, the outside air. And I don't want anyone to panic. The air inside is fresh and clean as well, and I'll explain that in a second. But to be able to take off the mask and be able to actually breathe some air outside. So that's going to happen in between each period, and so we've got a 15-minute break between each period. And then that also gives us time as a staff to be able to sanitize each of the classrooms, to be able to spray down the desks, and to make sure that everything is prepared for the next group of students to come in. And that means that we're not going to have the issues of like kids coming out of the door at the same time they're trying to go in a door. So basically everyone's out, then everyone is back in. We're actually, just yesterday, we figured out how we can put some shade coverings, and also some, which will double as some partial rain covering as well, so that we can accommodate inclement weather. And so for the remainder of this year, as long as we're in hybrid, we're going to be doing that, where everybody gets that 15-minute break and actually gets to be outside during that time. Inside the school, we have MERV 13 air filters on our air conditioning, and so that's the highest standard that works with the commercial air conditioning systems. And in addition to that, we also have HEPA air filters in each of the classrooms. And so that, in conjunction with using the HOCOL, which is a sanitizer, which basically kills the COVID virus. That, in conjunction with that, and then also making sure that we're pre-screening everybody who comes into the building. So any student who comes into the building is going to have to answer COVID questions. So some of you might have already seen that in core competency. If you're on your dashboard every day, it'll prompt you to answer your COVID questions. It's going to be the same questions every day, and you'll get used to knowing what those questions are and clicking hopefully a bunch of no's. But if there is a yes, that means that we need to do some follow-up with you and make sure that it's actually safe for you to be on campus. No, this is really important for our parents to know. So during the school hours, when we have students on campus, there are no visitors on campus. So the doors will be locked. Parents are not going to be allowed into the school. We're not going to allow any vendors in the school, except under special circumstances. If they have to come fix the air conditioning or something like that. But we'll, in those special circumstances, we'll make sure that there's no way that those vendors are coming into contact with our students. And so we are basically going to be a closed ecosystem during school hours. And so as a parent, just kind of keep that in mind, that we're still happy to talk with you, but we will be coming outside to talk to you. And so it's probably best to have our communication happening via email or via phone calls. There's a whole document that basically outlines exactly our policies. And I'll send a link out to that. I don't want to send it out yet. I mean, you guys are welcome to see it. It was discussed at our board meeting last Wednesday, and so it's in our public board documents. So you're welcome to look at it now, but I think as we get closer to really opening in hybrid, I think it makes more sense because every week the guidelines change. Oh, I guess I should make this really clear. So there is going to be a mask requirement a face covering requirement anytime you're inside our building. And so that goes for staff and students as well. And the initial reaction, I'm sure, for those of you who've worn masks is like, oh my goodness, this is going to suck. But know that we as a staff, we've been doing it for the last week, and you get used to it. And so we will all get used to it. And hopefully one day we won't have to do this anymore. But right now it's the safest way for us all to be in the same building together. And so just know that all the policies that we've come up with for the hybrid model, they're all designed to make sure that we're mitigating the risk. You can't ever eliminate risk, but we are making it so that at every level, we're not opening until the San Diego County has a case count that is very low. So 1 in 1,000 residents has COVID. And so that means if we're bringing 100 kids into our school, the chances are that they do not have COVID. If we're bringing 1,000 kids in, one of them would have COVID, but we're bringing in 100 of them. And we're also pre-screening beforehand. And so even if somebody does have COVID, though, it's still not 100% chance that COVID is going to be transmitted. I'm sure we've all heard stories of family members who have gotten it, but then other family members haven't. So still not 100% chance. And so we mitigate the risk by wearing masks, by maintaining the social distancing, by making sure we're washing our hands constantly. Each classroom door is going to have a hand sanitizer dispenser. So students will be putting on sanitizing their hands before they walk into the classroom. So there's going to be a lot of hand washing. There's going to be a lot of cleaning to make sure that everything's clean. Any particles that do wind up becoming airborne are going to make it either through the air filters that are in the classroom or through the filters that are on our air conditioning system. And so we're lowering the risk at every one of these points. And so, but I can't ever promise 100% safety, and so that's an understandable concern that everyone might have, and so that's why we have virtual set, which we think is going to be as good a second option for our students. So hopefully that will allay some of your concerns. Obviously, we're going to have a lot more conversations about this as we approach the hybrid model reopening. But for now, we are opening with virtual set. Mr. Ash, you've got a question.
Yes. Hi, Mr. Ash. I'm one of the science teachers at SET. The question that I will address is, will the flu vaccine be required? And the short answer is no, but it is strongly recommended that you get the flu vaccine, just kind of reducing the risk of not only spreading COVID-19, but we're entering flu season. And if we could eliminate the risk of spreading the flu as well, then we will definitely keep ourselves safe. And I'm sure if you do have the flu, the screening questions that you are asked will deny your access to the school. So stay away from COVID-19, stay away from the flu, get the flu vaccine, highly recommended.
Thank you. McClendon, you're up.
All righty. So the question I have was, will there be any sports extracurricular activities if we go hybrid? So in addition to being assistant principal, I'm also the athletic director at SET. And whether or not we have sports has more to do with CIF and the governing body. They, as of right now, have moved the winter sports and the fall sports to start December 14th. So if somebody were to be running cross country, they would actually be working out now, but that's not starting until December 14th, as well as girls volleyball. So it's kind of a wait and see kind of situation. They put out a schedule for when that's going to happen, but I think actually girls basketball starts at the same time, December 14th. So we will have sports if CIF allows it, but like I said, there will be no sports, and not even actually even starting to practice before December 14th of this year. Next up is Dr. McCurdy.
That question I already answered, so we're actually on to our other questions now. So just so you guys know, we are now leaving hybrid school And now we're kind of into the other questions that came up. And so as we only have a few of these, and then we can open it up to some of the chat questions that have been coming in since.
Let me say something on this.
Circle back. Yeah, go ahead.
So the question is, will ninth graders get to know each other? Mr. Odegaard is going to address that. And Ms. Gibson, Mr. Odegaard teaches freshman math, and Ms. Gibson teaches freshman English. So she may chime in after Mr. Odegaard's done. Mr. Odegaard.
Yeah. Hi, everybody. I'm Mr. Odegaard, if you guys don't know me. But every year at SET, we try to do a ninth grade retreat where we, like last year, we closed the school to just the ninth graders and have a sleepover, but we obviously can't do that this year. So what we are going to be doing is having like a virtual retreat. That'll be on Thursday from 5 to 8. We'll be doing different icebreaker, get to know you activities, hopefully doing some type of things that you can do like physically in your house instead of just watching the screen. And but like the most important thing is to get to know each other. And like freshmen, you guys are all coming from different schools, and so you don't really know each other until you start doing this type of retreat. So it'll be on the 27th from 5 to 8. So in the evening, and then we'll touch base on Friday the 28th from 9 to 10. So I think I know we talked about it a little bit earlier, but I think that's like those are the main points. Ms. Gibson, did you want to add anything, or Mrs. Geis?
Yes, you did a great job, Mr. Odegaard. I just want to say that I am really excited to meet the incoming freshmen. This is going to be a great year, and we're going to do our best to normalize the school experience for you in spite of what we're going through. And I'm just really excited to meet you guys.
I see a question in the chat about the virtual retreat being optional. I don't think it is required. Thank you, Ms. Lennon. So the retreat is always required. The point of it is so that all the freshmen get to know each other really well. I know it's really uncomfortable to come out of your shell, but it really does help you like start your high school career. And yeah, so if you're on the fence about going, you gotta go.
Dr. Purdy?
Yeah, go ahead.
So I've had a couple questions about new students that are not freshmen. Will we be doing any activities to help them get to know their fellow classmates and integrate them?
Yeah, so for sure that's going to be happening in all of our classes. So there are other activities that happen for the other grades. They usually happen a little bit later in the year. But we are going to be paying particular attention to our non-ninth grade new students, because this is going to be a little bit of a challenge for them to get to know each other and to get to know the other students. And so we're going to be all of us as a staff are very aware of who those students are, and we'll be doing everything we can to help them fit in. And so please do let us know though. So we are very, very approachable. Shoot us an email. Have the student message us on Google Chat if they're feeling like they haven't met any friends yet. So we'll definitely we'll work put particular attention on those students and make sure that we get them integrated with the rest of our students.
Yeah, and I do want to emphasize the retreat, even though it's going to be virtual, we're still working really hard, and it is going to be a lot of fun. If you don't show up, I know what happened last year, like you don't go, then like everybody's talking about it the next day and you end up like feeling a little left out. So it will be a lot of fun this year. So I just wanted to emphasize that part too.
Yeah. Alrighty. So Ms. Geis, there's a question for you about steps.
All right. So if you are a freshman or a freshman parent or guardian, this doesn't apply to you right now, but definitely still have this in the back of your mind. So if you're a freshman, in terms of your PE and nutrition credit, you take my class, Strength of Mind and Body. And that gives you your 1 year PE and your nutrition that'll give you that. You still need to do another year of PE. So this year will be interesting. Hopefully we get back to being together. And if you are an athlete like I was growing up, then you'll be anxious to be able to play sports. And so you can get PE credit by playing sports. We also have bowling. So when we're able to really function as SET normally functions, we have a lot of opportunities for students to get that other year of PE when it comes to sports, bowling. Now, if that's not your thing, totally fine. We have a program where you will count your steps. That is all explained in detail and done via core competency. So as Mr. McClendon told us already, please, 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 go on to core competency, make sure you're familiar with everything on there. So for students who are panicking or trying to figure out their second year of PE, it's under, I believe, other modules, and then it says fitness. And then you can see the details of tracking steps. It's all done, all the information that you're including, all the details of how many steps you need to take, all of that is in core competency. So I'm not going to take the time right now to give you every single detail, but basically you are going to be responsible for getting, I believe the number is like 7,000 steps per day, Monday through Friday. And all that information you put into core competency, and you need to be doing that daily. So if anybody has any other questions regarding steps, you can definitely Google chat or email me and I can talk to you about it further. But other than that, the information is in perfect and amazing detail on core competency for that.
Thank you, Ms. Geis. Ms. Farias is our ASB director, and can you talk to us a little bit about clubs and
Yeah. Hi, everyone. Again, I'm Ms. Farias, Spanish teacher and ASB advisor. So for the incoming freshmen that aren't really familiar with ASB, ASB stands for Associated Student Body. So what is that, Ms. Farias? It's pretty much a group of students who come together and are responsible for like organizing and planning everything that's student driven, whether it's like fundraisers, community service opportunities, student clubs, dances, spirit weeks, and activities that just focus on promoting school spirit. And I know that with the current situation, a lot of those events aren't happening, but we just have to get very creative and make it happen somehow. Some of them, not all of them. As mentioned, they are also responsible for the student clubs. We already had some clubs here at SET, such as robotics, the diversity club, Meta Club, the Film Club, Dungeons and Dragons, and some other clubs as well. But that's not it. So if you guys are interested in creating your own club, you guys are more than welcome to talk to me and see if there's a given criteria that the clubs must meet. So this is a great opportunity for new students and returning students. If you guys obviously want to get in touch with your peers, or if you guys just want to talk and learn more about a certain activity or something that you guys are interested in, this is a great opportunity for you guys to do so. So again, there's a club criteria that you guys have to meet. So such as like finding a teacher advisor. And so because of the current situation, you guys have to figure out when can we meet, because still obviously it's doable. We can use Google Meets and set up a group chat, a chat with the members of the club, right? So that's still something that can happen. You guys do need to fill out a form for that, and it has to get approved by ASB members. If you guys are interested, please reach out to me, not just for clubs, but also ASB members. So any more details or questions that you guys have, just feel free to contact me. Yeah.
Thank you, Ms. Farias. So we've got one more question. I think that was one of the pre-questions, and then we'll have Ms. Heath or any of the teachers who happen to be monitoring the chat. And if there's anything that hasn't been answered on the chat or that we haven't answered, we're happy to answer those questions. So the last question though, Ms. Heath, is to you. So what's the protocol if a student has a doctor's appointment and needs to leave school early or come in late?
Sure. So the best way is to either call the front office or email. My email, Ms. Hines' email, if you haven't met Gabby yet, she's awesome. And she works with me in the front office and she's Ms. Hines. And she takes care of attendance among many other things. And then also just info@sethigh.org. And if you, so one thing to think about, I believe we're still doing independent study, correct, Dr. McCurdy?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I know it's a little confusing where you're like, well, we're virtually learning, so I'm at home, but I'm sick, so I'm not logging on. Think of virtual learning as exactly the same as being on campus. If your student is sick and not going to be attending classes, then your student is absent. So you'll report the absence as you normally would. And very likely Ms. Hines will put your student on independent study, both to help us and to help you guys, to help your student keep up. So that is just reported through phone call or email. And our emails are on the website. If you can't remember one, the easiest is info@sethigh.org. Anything else?
No, let me just clarify that a little bit. So we're really hopeful, and actually I'm hopeful that going forward that we can start doing away with this idea of requiring independent study in order to accommodate students who are sick. And so my hope is that one of the things that emerges from this COVID experience in schools is that the state is finally going to realize that virtual attendance is as good as physical attendance. And so, you know, there's been plenty of times where I'm sure you have, so I've got my own kids and myself even, I'm sick, but I'm not so sick that I can't turn on my phone and listen to a lecture that's going on in the class. I might not be as productive as I normally am, but I can still be present, and that's probably better than nothing. And so do just kind of keep that in mind. So we're hopeful. You know, obviously there's sometimes where you're so sick you can't even like open your eyes. You got a migraine, and you know, you're gonna throw up if you even look at a screen. So we totally get that. But there's a lot of illnesses where you're not quite healthy enough to come to school, but you're plenty healthy to be able to lie in bed and turn on your phone. At least maybe you don't want the video on, but you can at least listen and watch the activities that are going on. So we highly encourage that if possible over the independent study. So questions from the chat. So we're at the hour mark. In case you guys are worried about me going long here, so we finished our virtual set stuff in the half hour as promised, and so we're kind of at the tail end here, where we're happy to stay on as long as you guys want to answer questions, but the meat of what we wanted to cover has already been covered. And if there's anything like major that happens in the next 10-15 minutes while we're answering other questions, we'll be sure to follow up with an email and say, hey, make sure you watch the second hour of the recorded session. But feel free to leave if you have somewhere to go. I will certainly stay on until the last question is answered. So do let us know if you have any questions.
I have a couple questions from the YouTube live chat, Dr. McCurdy.
Sure.
The first one was as far as lunch goes, and I don't know if we've completely like figured this out yet, but the student was wondering, are they able to sit with each other or with their friends at lunch while they're outside or whatever, or is that still going to be limited to social distancing and things like that?
So they can sit with them. They've got to be 6 feet away. So
okay.
6 foot social distancing is going to be enforced. One of the nice things about lunchtime for us, especially living in San Diego, is that you know, we've got the park. We imagine that there's going to be a lot of students at the park. I can't remember if I said that we were going to have shade coverings. Yeah, I did. So we're going to have shade coverings out in the front, so it'll be a little bit more comfortable to be sitting out there. So we're just gonna, you know, all of us, just like we've all been creative with meeting our friends outside of school, you're gonna have to be creative with how you configure yourself so you're still maintaining that 6 foot social distancing. During these meal times, that's the only time when masks are allowed to come off, and they're only allowed to be off while you're eating. And so And if you're outside and you're out in the middle of the field and there's anywhere around you, of course, then you can take off your mask there. But if, I don't want to see students who are, 4 feet apart and neither of them has a mask on. I hope we're all adult enough now to know that we don't want to be putting ourselves in risk or our friends at risk, or really the entire, this entire school. So once we are open, it's going to be, as a community, we all need to be making sure that together we're helping each other, make sure that we don't wind up having to shut down again because of a COVID outbreak. And so, just kind of keep that in mind, students, that the more that you guys can help us with this, and we're not being the enforcers here, and we're all as a community just doing the right thing. Everyone in Vaughn's is wearing a mask, right? So we all know how to do this. Just make sure that you guys are treating being at school just like you're at Vaughn's.
Okay, and then one more, this might be for Ms. Farias to address, but one of the students was wondering, as far as ASB goes, are we going to have elections? And if so, when will those be, or if we have a timeline for those?
I'm not sure about the timeline. We are going to have elections, and also we have to see how many students are interested this year in joining ASB. But yes, we will.
Okay, thank you. And then one last question.
Oh, sorry, Mr. Hyde.
Oh,
I'll just
you're
send
good.
out an email to all students to let them know of the dates coming up.
Okay, and then as far as sports go, students were wondering if they could play sports either for another organization or school or whatever, something like that, if they could still play those sports. And I think they might have been wondering if maybe those would be able to count for a PE credit or anything like that.
McClendon, do you want to answer that, or?
Yeah, it kind of depends. If you can't really any longer, the CIF changed the rule. You can't really go to our school and play a sport for another school. So you can no longer do that, but you can actually play club sports and things like that. And we will give them PE credit for doing that. So we're pretty lenient on the PE credits, but we just don't want kids waiting until June of their senior year to start saying, oh, I did this and I did that. So let's get it ironed out early.
Okay, any of the teachers monitoring the chat? Ms. Heath, any other questions that we haven't answered yet?
There was a question about steps. I saw again, if you are a freshman or the parent or guardian of a freshman, you will not be counting your steps your freshman year. Freshman year, you will take my class, Strength of Mind and Body, and that will give you your first year of PE and nutrition. And then the following years after that is when you will worry about your other year of PE. That can be gotten in any of the ways that I said, sports, including bowling, or the step tracker at that time. So if you're a freshman or a parent or guardian of a freshman, don't worry about the steps right now. That's not even of your concern. We'll get to that later.
Mrs. Geis or Dr. McCurdy, do you know if towards the end of the year if they said anything about the freshman fitness testing, whether or not that's going to happen or not? Because I don't know if
I haven't heard anything about that. I know that from last year it was, dismissed. Yeah. So I have not gotten an email or anything regarding the fitness gram.
Yeah,
so I'm not
I would think logically what they would probably do is move it into the next year, so the sophomores would have to take it. But, yeah.
Sure.
Anything else? All righty. Well, we are super excited to have everybody back at school on Monday. Make sure you tell your friends that school is starting on Monday. We are a little bit earlier than some of the other schools, and so I imagine that some of you might be shocked to find out that school starts on Monday. But know that you get the payback later because you get 2 weeks of spring break off, and that is always amazing. So, and you'll thank me back, or you'll thank me in the spring when you get that second week off. So I think we're done here.
Can I chime in one more thing?
Yeah, go ahead.
Reiterating something that you said earlier. If you have not picked up your computer and you're a new student or freshman or a new student coming to our school, please send us an email tonight or tomorrow and we can figure out how you can get that computer because you're going to need it for Monday.
Well, if you're using your own computer, you won't need it, but and that's totally fine. Yeah.
Yeah.
You will need a computer on Monday.
Correct.
All righty. Well, thank you, everyone. Thank you, staff, for working late today, and we look forward to seeing you guys bright and early, 8 o'clock on Monday morning. Thanks, everyone. Good night.
Neil, Dr. McCurdy,
Yeah.
you can keep the Q&A, right?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that'll go.
Okay.
You're talking about the chat?
Don't close this down yet. I'm still answering questions.
Okay. So I'm still listening. I'm just going to mute myself. So if there's something that I need to address, just let me know.
I'm going to just add on really quickly if there are still parents or anybody here. Most teachers sent out the classroom codes for their advisories. So just have your students check their emails so that they can add themselves into our Google Classrooms. I know Dr. McCurdy said that earlier, but some people joined later. So just make sure you check for that.
So there's a slight chance of did I just lose you, Ms. London? No, you're still there. There's a slight chance that the emails that get sent before the student logs in the first time don't actually register. So we might have to resend those emails. But we should know. So if it bounces and you get told that
Yeah.
it was undeliverable, then we should know.
Well, thankfully, I only have 2 new students in my advisory because I have 11th graders. So most of them should have gotten it. And I already have like 7 kids who added themselves in.
Okay,
so
good.
I won't be, my advisory won't be a problem probably, but I don't know about freshmen.
Yeah.
Are we allowed to send out any invites to our other classes yet or no? Do you still want us to wait on that?
So because of that, what I just said, let's wait until Friday.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
So until Lennon just left, I thought we were back on the Brady Bunch again. There she is. Thank you, Marcia.
I'm so, oh my God, am I Marcia? I'm trying to do something, but I don't want you guys. Okay. I'm still here. If you need me, just let me know. I'm going to stay on for a little bit, but I'll tell you after what I'm doing. It's really funny.
So what were the boys' name? One of the boys' name was Bobby. Unmute yourself.
Bobby, Greg.
I knew Greg and Bobby.
And
because there's a third boy.
Peter?
Peter, that is right. Peter
and
was the youngest.
Marsha, Jan, and Cindy.
Yeah, Peter was the youngest boy. So we're gonna make.
Oh, Jacob Lehman just said Peter.
Who did? Who did?
Jacob Lehman.
Oh, nice.
You guys, you two are dating yourselves.
Well, Jacob.
Everybody knows about the Brady Bunch. They're not dating themselves.
No.
Everybody knows about that.
Jacob Lehman's in our age category.
But Jacob's a really cool kid. He always knows all the, yeah, he always knows all the cool stuff.
No, that's what she said. He just responded, Peter.
Jacob's in my graphic lit class, I think, or at least he was a few days ago.
Do we have parents still on here?
Yes, we do.
Okay, you're not going to do that Disney class, right? Make me cry.
You know what? I actually did over the summer. I was really bored. So I did come up with new curriculum if I wanted to do like a part 2 to it so that kids could take it again. That would be so cool. You know, I like to make kids cry by ruining all those fairy tales. Fairy tales are not real. Okay. They all kids need to know, and they need to take their rose-colored glasses off and see the world for what it is. So I like that class.
So
that's why all the kids liked it though.
So my guess is there aren't many rose-colored glasses on anymore with
The pandemic definitely, yeah, you're right, actually. The pandemic definitely removed all those, just smacked them off people's faces.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm gonna text you guys a really cool picture of my nursery, okay? It's not even done, but it looks really cool so far, okay?
So why would you break this little girl's heart with the Disney stuff?
Better that I break it now than somebody break it when she's older, okay? I feel like you should be thanking me. She'll be prepared. She'll be like people will come at her with all these, fairy tale lines, and she'll be like, nah, because Miss Lennon said that's just a lie. I think I'm gonna save her life.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
I don't know, Lennon.
People like
you still answering questions, Miss Heath?
Yeah.
She has been answering so many questions, and I felt bad because there were a few that she was like responding to, and then I noticed that she was responding to only the panelists, so only teachers could see the responses. So thankfully, then she went back and changed it, but she has been working so hard.
Yeah,
Don't you think you should get a pay raise, Missy?
See, Daryl, this is why I told you I shouldn't answer any questions. I knew it was going to be like this.
Okay, well, I think parents are still on. We'll talk about that tomorrow at school.
Yeah. Hey, Lennon, really quick question for you from one of the kids. What advisory are you? What grade advisory?
11.
11th grade. Okay.
Yes.
Gabe's mom says Disney magic is real.
Thank you.
I just float on like Maleficent and tear it all down. I mean, it is real, the magic that I use to destroy all the dreams.
Maybe this is something we can do. We can have a once a month. We have like teachers we'll just have like random panel, just doing a webinar rather than just talking about random stuff.
See how she's smiling? That's because she thinks Disney's real. Beside the fact that she's spraying me with water.
But you just used the key word. She thinks it's real.
And she's like 5.
Yeah.
Yeah, but she's 5 going on about 25.
I have said this numerous times, and I don't know who else is still listening on YouTube, but I hope people hear this. I think that of all people here, I actually love Disney the most because I see it for what it is and I still like it. I don't need to lie to myself or to other people to maintain this like fuzzy happy feeling. I can see it as just, okay, it's not real and there's a lot of problems with it, but I still love it. So okay, I think that I'm the real Disney fan.
We have a debate going on. Carrie Lopez says, I'm 48 and she still believes in Disney magic. But then Marnie, a new parent, says, I'm with Ms. Lennon.
Thank you, Marnie.
Oh, and Jacob Lehman, get this. Jacob Lehman says Disney is a sham trying to get you mugged or killed.
Jacob knows, and he wasn't even in my class.
Isn't he? But he was the first one to pay for Disney Plus. So what's he doing?
Yeah, and then he skipped school. He was absent for like 5 days because he Disney Plus. That's what he literally put as his answer, right, Jacob?
Yeah, he came in and I said, "Oh, were you sick?" And he said, "No, I was watching all of the Marvel movies on Disney Plus."
Yeah, he just messaged, "Yeah, I wasn't gonna miss that."
I'm with him on there. So are we winding down questions or?
Oh, cool. Marnie says, I'm working on a book with a client that debunks Cinderella. True story.
Oh,
wow.
That's cool.
Great.
This is kitten number 2, guys.
Be a guest speaker, please.
Oh, Mochi or
this
Zena?
one's Mochi. Yeah, this is Mochi.
Okay. To answer Yvette, hopping, Daniel's schedule is on core competency. He should know how to log on to that. He clicks on I think courses and then enroll in courses, and that's where his schedule will be. But Yvette, have him or you reach out to me if you don't see it. Email is the best. Anna Pilko says, I'm with Ms. Lennon too. Thank you for saving all those delusional girls.
Do you see? I am this is what you're welcome, everyone who appreciates me. If you don't appreciate me, don't talk to me.
And boys, she says, and boys. For saving all the delusional girls and boys.
Always, anytime.
And then Jacob says, Ms. Lennon, how's the heat? I was up there yesterday.
You know what? I'm really grateful for AC, but it's been brutal. So I just sit underneath my AC and I feel great, but it's pretty disgusting.
It doesn't help being pregnant during this time of the year either.
Yeah, but you know what I was thinking? I would hate to be further along during this time of year. I'm really lucky that my due date is December because it'll be, I like the cold and fall anyway, so that's better.
Mr. Hyde, are you still monitoring?
Yeah, I'm still monitoring. I'm answering the questions. If I get one that I can't answer,
Okay.
I've been asking you guys.
Eva, Carrie Lopez says, I appreciate you, but Disney is my happy place, which actually, to be honest, Carrie, Ava and I both love Disneyland. So,
Yeah, it's my happy place too. It's just my happy place, in a realistic way. Like, I'm like, oh, cool. I know that this is imaginary.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So Marnie Friedman, new parent, says, I love you guys so much and never dreamed we would find such a great group of teachers. Good night. Thank you, Marnie.
Yes. Can't wait to meet you, Marnie.
And Jaden says, I love Disneyland, which Jaden, I have to tell you, with no punctuation, it's kind of creepy.
He should know better than to not punctuate his sentences.
Right.
I love LiDAR scanners.
Mr. Montello, what is going on?
Montello's scaring me.
JP, what?
Mr. Montello's scaring me again.
What?
No, this isn't JP. This isn't show and tell. We're gonna put all that. Anna Coco says that's so cool. Anna, you should encourage him.
Don't poke the bear.
A LiDAR scanner is like used for like autonomous vehicles and stuff.
Okay, not the forum, JP, not the forum.
But I think there's actually a deal. So how much did you pay for it?
Oh, $60.
And
It's normally $10,000.
exactly. No, everybody can appreciate a deal. So our students get to play with a $10,000 piece of equipment because Mr. Montello geeked out and got it for $60.
Dr. McCurdy, we don't talk to Mr. Montello about money. That's our rule in house.
I spent my money on this, not your money.
That's my favorite thing.
Yeah.
Spend their own
I made
money.
everyone's day.
Okay.
So we're down to 11 on the webinar. Where are you, Mr. Hyde?
I
Did we
killed
shut this down? You're muted.
You're muted.
Are you wondering how many people are watching? Is that what you said?
Yeah, can we shut this down, or
Maybe we're their
we have-
entertainment for the night. We should stay on.
We have 22 people watching.
You guys, we're pretty famous then. I think that means we're interesting.
I think it's
Well, we had more. We had like
times. Everyone is so bored. So
I think we should define a new word. We're COVID interesting. If there was no COVID, we would not be interesting.
Well, the questions have slowed down. Before we shut it down, Neil, do you need to do something to save the Q&A?
No, it should just automatically save.
Oh, wait.
Well, what about Mr. Hunt?
Oh my gosh. Okay, so get this.
We're still on
Jacob
camera.
Langdon says YouTube COVID famous. So I just answered that live. Thank you, Jacob. Nancy Emmy says entertainment, very much so. Love the banter from Nancy Emmy. So thank you, Nancy.
I miss Nancy.
I was just chatting with your daughter on Google Chat. So I hope it's okay with you. She didn't sound, super happy, but
well,
the students, some of the students on the live chat here are saying that if this was like a podcast, they would watch it.
Really?
I'm telling you.
What's our podcast name then? We need one.
Hashtag YouTube famous.
Set
oh,
set at night. Set.
We'll come up. That's a working title. We'll come up.
No.
We'll come up with a better one.
I think we should do hashtag COVID famous.
Let's not use a hashtag. In
Boring, but
No
not
hashtag.
COVID boring.
Daryl, that's so
Hashtag that's so 2010, McClendon.
Yeah.
Oh,
Also,
that's
Nancy
at least
Emmy says,
2018.
hey, Nancy Emmy also says, miss you all too. I am still living the dream.
Oh,
Miss you,
love it.
Nancy. Say hi to Cam.
you guys, I think what our name should be is boring, but not COVID boring. That really describes us.
I
to
think
a
that's
T.
it. Not COVID boring.
Mhm.
Jaden says we should make a weekly podcast.
I'm down.
Not COVID boring, coming to you live from San Diego.
This is,
Yeah, we'll
this is
just-
actually a project idea for the students who are still watching. So
Ooh, or we just call it COVID exciting.
I like that.
I like that
I
one.
like that.
You can't have me on it though. Eventually I'll
Yeah, we know.
I'll
We
get
don't
it
have to say
going
anymore. Don't say anymore. We're still live. We're still running. Just trust me, we know. You'll be the person behind the scenes.
Hey, there is a delay. There is a delay from the Zoom to the YouTube live stream. So if we left Carrie on, I could probably censor her.
The only problem is the people that are watching her right now on this.
So Jacob Lehman says, everyone ripping on Montello's tech, Lennon being a Disney extremist, sounds like a hoot.
I think this is great, you guys. This actually, McCurdy, this would be fun to do if you just got like a random group of teachers together and just started talking about something so random and parents could come on and chat.
Yeah.
I mean, hey, a lot of people had a lot to say about Disney. Imagine what would happen if you, I don't know, you could have Hyde and Patero, debate, I don't know, something weird. And I bet you people would be so down on it.
Or you bring in
Hey,
the social science teachers and we start like having history debates.
We do have a legit question though, really quick. A couple students are wondering if their laptop is broken, if they are able to bring it in and replace it at a certain time.
Yes. So how broken is it? Can they still use it? Because we ordered a bunch of laptops, which we're expecting. So we will eventually have enough inventory, but we don't right now. So the priority is getting laptops to students who don't have them so that every student has at least some kind of laptop they can use. Once we get to that point, then we can talk to students who don't have cameras on their computers, who have computers that are, something's wrong with them. So that will be hopefully soon-ish. We can bring them in and have them trade them in.
So extra credit if they fix it themselves, basically.
We do have a bunch of like T4.
In whose class?
Yeah, but we don't.
I'll give it.
On their own. Yeah, so Jaden just said my computer doesn't have a camera. Jaden, we want to get you a computer that has a camera, but first we have to make sure that every student has a computer, period. So maybe send me an email in a couple weeks. Remind me, because I have like 70,000 emails I now have to send from all of this. So just reach out to me in a couple weeks and check in. And hopefully by that time we'll have gotten our new laptops and we can have you come in and trade it in for one with a camera, okay? And yes, Jaden, you can just use your phone.
Hey, Lennon, what is that?
What do you mean?
The mural?
Yeah.
It's a mural, a specialized mural in baby's room.
Yeah, it's in the nursery. It's not anywhere near done, but the dude got all of that done just today. You remember when I was giving the Pear Deck lesson and then my dog started barking? It was him getting to my house.
So you got to remember the audience. You got to share with the audience here.
She did. She shared it with you.
Nobody knows.
So he actually drew that?
Yeah.
Yeah. He drew it and
Right.
painted
I'm
it.
sharing it. Oh, there we go. We can all
They're
put it up.
doing a whole jungle theme for new
mine-
Lennon
mine
Heath baby. Oh, and just to clarify, this is not a baby between me, Ms. Heath, and Ms. Lennon. I have a brother named Alan Heath who happens to be married to Ms. Lennon. It is that baby that we are celebrating.
What do you have against having a baby with me?
Nothing.
I'm really offended now.
Okay, so remember, we're still live, people.
Yeah, now this is
Everybody
getting a
knows
little.
we're oh my gosh,
I'm
there's
just
nothing
saying.
wrong. There's nothing
Well, I don't
inappropriate
actually,
about that.
if there's any new parents on here, I don't think they know that you're married to my brother.
We won't mention any names, but there's 3 people here that can slip off the bandwagon at any point. 2 of them are female. And I'm just
Quiet,
saying, we're
stop
still
talking. Jacob Lehman just said, whoa. So I'm answering that live. Nancy Emmy just said, way cool, easy now. Ha ha ha. Okay, which also Nancy, for the record.
Daniel Phillips just said he's genuinely confused by what he heard.
Why is Daniel Phillips on
Why
here?
is Daniel Phillips here?
Daniel Phillips graduated.
Daniel Phillips.
Hey,
Wait,
he's
Gabe,
on the.
You had no idea? Gabe, you didn't know that Ms. Lennon's married to my brother?
Where have these kids been?
Right? She's not married to Gandara.
Yeah,
It gets asked all the time. Because I have, okay, for people who don't know, my desktop in my classroom is a picture of my husband and me, and we are standing, but it's just our backs, but he's got this long, beautiful hair. So I had this one student, and he was in my class for like 6 months, and then he goes, Miss Lennon, is that Mr. Gandara? And I said, no. And then all the kids were like, we thought this whole time you were married to Mr. Gandara. They just like thought it, and then they were terrified to ask me if that was true, which is funny because Gandara and I don't ever really cross paths. So they probably just thought like, why is this couple just never talking? They must really hate each other.
Jaden said he was there for that.
He wasn't for that. Don't say who said it though. Don't say who said it.
No, Jaden.
No, I
Jaden
know,
just
but I'm
made a
telling
comment.
Jaden, don't say who asked me that.
Yeah, but everybody says it now. I walk in there and say,
That's
hey, is that Mr. Gandara?
I know, it's a joke now. But you know what though? It's a good thing I didn't take Alan's last name, because then there would be 2 Miss Heaths. That would be a big problem.
Very confusing.
Very confusing.
We'd have a Mrs. Heath.
I don't like the misses when you're, that's why I still don't go by misses.
Oh.
I just think if a man doesn't have to be, if you don't have to be aware that a man is married or not, they just get to be Mr. no matter what. How come I can't be Miss no matter what?
I completely agree.
I agree.
I don't really care.
I think it's cute when you like, if you like really want to, right? Like, I think it's cute that Mrs. Geis loves to go by Mrs. Geis. I'm not against it for anybody else. I just don't like it for me. That's all.
Yep. Me too.
I took too many women's studies classes.
All right, we're down to 14 watching.
Oh, we see, we lost interest.
Yeah.
They lost interest in us. We started talking about things that they don't like.
You know, or
Jacob Lehman says, I'm with MC. Which, what did MC say last? I don't care. Was that what he said last?
Yeah.
And then Jaden's just he's waxing poetical and nostalgic. Jaden just says, I miss eating in restaurants.
Oh,
I know. And then Gabe Lopez says, this sounds like another podcast. I don't know if he means just like another podcast or a specific other podcast.
That's actually a great podcast name. This sounds like another podcast. That's a good podcast name.
So the one that we had a podcast last year, and I feel like that was the name of it, right? Wasn't it something? It was something cute like that.
Really?
Like just another podcast, or?
Oh, then that's not good anymore. Somebody already did it. I thought it was all cool and different.
You know, if we stay in this COVID state for a virtual world, we could do Newsday Tuesday. Get like 6 teachers in there, do this little Brady Bunch thing, and just start talking about stuff.
You guys, I like though that Hyde is like the one consistent person in this group. He just like, he's just there and he's doing what he needs to do.
He's working.
I know, he actually does what he needs to do.
He has one job. Let's not go overboard with the praise for Hyde.
Yeah. I mean, Heath is doing the same thing on the Zoom, so she
Double
should
time.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, you know,
and I'm
she's
answering
also-
Q&A. And let's be honest, most of the time they're the same questions from the same people on both platforms.
Next
All
time,
I'm
tell me to
saying
turn
is-
off Q&A.
No, but
But all I'm saying is,
we wanted to keep Q&A because there's a recording of it. There's not a recording of chat.
No, there is. Remember,
I think there is.
Recording the chat.
oh,
There is?
Yeah.
I thought you said there wasn't.
wow,
There wasn't-
Hyde for mayor.
There wasn't originally, but then I found it.
Oh, good job.
I just think that Mr. Hyde is always so chill. Like all of us are getting worked up. Montello's just like, I don't know what he's doing. I'm not sure. He's maybe ordering something online right now. But Hyde is just like, you know what? I'm going to just let these
Hyde,
people
all I can
embarrass
think of-
themselves and I'll just ask questions when necessary.
Jacob
Well,
Lehman, Jacob Lehman just said hide for mayor. So there
Well,
you
you
go.
know, I wouldn't want to be a mayor right now. I wouldn't want to be in any political office right now. But I'm chill until my baby. I've been up for 18 hours already, and my baby's screaming, and then I start to lose a little bit of my cool after that.
Well, I would
That's
comment, but
understandable.
we're still being recorded, Mr. Hyde. So let me send my thoughts to you.
Oh.
So you notice how you said, oh, so you know, since we're still being recorded, I'm just going to say, yeah, Mr. Hyde, you're really chill and a cool guy.
Yeah. I know how you feel about me. It's okay. Maybe we could do a podcast segment on that.
No, I would never do that because I would show up somewhere and I would get in trouble. So no, I would not do that on tape. I'll do it in my office or McCurdy's office with just you there.
All right, you guys,
shut
I gotta
this
go
thing
eat
down.
more because I'm super hungry.
Yeah, are we able to?
I think it's
Just Neil, don't close it yet.
What? That's what.
Sorry, I'm answering last questions.
How could there possibly be any more questions?
These are
These are-
students now.
They're
I can see who's on, and
These are our parents who.
no, they're all kids.
You're welcome, Nancy, Emmy. I love you as well. I'm trying to respond to your question. If Dr. McCurdy would let me.
I see Jaden. I see Gabe. I see Jaden.
Okay, bye, peeps. I'll see you all tomorrow.
Peace.
Bye, Lennon.
Are we able to shut the YouTube live down at least?
Yeah, I can
we
shut
should
that down.
that down.
Okay.
All right, I'm stopping the live stream. Bye, everybody.